Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas made headlines during his confirmation hearings years ago when he was accused of sexual harassment. Now, the conservative justice's former girlfriend is breaking her 19-year silence in a scandalous tell-all book.
Joining us is retired Federal Judge Lillian McEwen. So, Judge McEwen, what prompted you to write such a revealing memoir?
I really didn't think of it as revealing when I wrote it. It's just the story of my life. It's the story of events that are important to me and the story of characters who influenced me in my life.
Some have said your book reads like pornography. One major reviewer even called it dirty. How do you react to that?
I don't think of it that way. I just think of it as an honest book and as a book that reflects how I think about the world, how I think about sex, and how I think about people.
Well, a portion of your book focuses on your relationship with Clarence Thomas. Why break your 19-year silence about that relationship now?
First, I retired from federal service, really for the purpose of writing the book. I had been thinking of writing a memoir for several years. Many of my family members and friends had pressured me to do it. I never thought of my life is unusual, but looking back on it and reading the book myself and listening to the comments of my family and friends at this point, I realized that they really didn't know a whole lot about my life and that maybe what I was doing was a little unusual.
Apparently, Judge Thomas is the only one you identify by name, your sex partners. Why him?
He had already been the subject of several books before I wrote my memoir, which is really one of the reasons why I wrote my memoir, is because so much had been written about me already in his books. And he was just a part of my life. And at this point, I'm not afraid anymore. I mean, I've reached an age where I've been pestered by reporters. It's just time for me not to be scared anymore and time for me to tell my story before somebody else.
Tell us about your relationship with Clarence Thomas.
It started out as me being just buddies with Clarence. We worked on the Hill together. At that time, he was a raging drunk who was complaining about his life and his childhood, his career, and everything else, and he would come over my house. I was used to that kind of a personality structure from the alcoholics that I knew in law school. They were my buddies, too, but eventually our relationship changed to a romantic one after he divorced his wife.
Has he talked to you about your portrayal of him?
The last conversation I had with him was a couple of years ago when I went to a speech that he gave about his memoir. He signed books and answered a couple of questions about the memoir, read a little bit from it and that sort of thing. And I went up to him and he signed the book that I had bought and kissed me on the cheek and asked me how my daughter was.
Thanks very much. Retired Federal Judge Lillian McEwen talking about her relationship with Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and her new book, D.C. Unmasked and Undressed.